In this world, is the destiny of mankind controlled by some transcendental entity or law? Is it like the hand of God hovering above? At least, it is true that man has no control, even over his own will. Well, what can you say to something like that? Oh, that's right. Griffith! I love all sorts of storytelling, and in the manga/anime department, my favorite is Berserk. I mean, what's not to like? It has one of, if not the greatest main character of all time, some of the greatest artwork, and one of the most despicable villains of all time, who, just to clarify, did everything wrong. Great action scenes, a powerful love story, hope, vengeance, and above all, schnoz. Yes, Berserk is incredible. But one of the most appealing things about it is the apostles, the creatures that inhabit Berserk's world. They are some of the most dangerous, most powerful, and ugliest beings you're ever gonna encounter in a story. From Void to the Slug Count, from Slan to the fucking trolls, from Nosferatu Zod to Donovan. The beings in this story are both amazing and scary to look at. However, when the question arises of who is the most terrifying of them all, things are a bit iffy. Not because the answer isn't clear to me, but because till this day I don't know how canonical the answer really is. Let me explain. The number of Berserk chapters changes from the web pages who have the manga and the volumes printed. This occurs because there is a sort of hidden chapter in Berserk. I mean, it's obviously not hard to find or anything like that, but the author, Kentaro Miura, asked the publishers to remove it because it revealed too much of the story way too soon and limited what he could do with it. So chapter 83 stands in this weird limbo of being canon and not canon at the same time. A Schrödinger chapter, if you will. Now, what the hell happens in this chapter that makes it so relevant, so important? Well, in a quick synopsis, this happens shortly after Griffith, oh yes, boy Griffith, is taken by the God Hand and his transformation begins. He travels to a strange place where a being he refers to as God lives. Okay, the God terminology is given by Griffith because actually the being refers to himself as the idea of evil, the God of the abyss. The idea of evil explains that all humans have a collective subconsciousness and that it was born from the evil within that subconsciousness, making it essentially both God and the ego of this world. So what the hell is the idea of evil? And why is this big heart scarier than, I don't know, this motherfucker over here? What makes the idea of evil so scary is the concept behind it. The message the author is trying to give us by using this huge heart. First, in the world of Berserk, there is no God creator. There is no Yahweh. There is no Kronos, no Odin, Zero, nothing. humanity came into being probably the same way we did in our world. So, in essence, fate and causality and all these concepts that these things stand for were created by us. In the world of Berserk, we are fully responsible for the idea of evil. This thing came into being because of our necessity to give all the bad things we do or that happen a reason. The idea of evil was born so we could blame something for all the hardships and suffering that goes around in our existence, and in turn, so it could manipulate people and events. We gave agency to evil. Now you must be asking yourself, wait, so does evil actually exist or not? The answer to this comes from our old friend sitting in the back of the classroom smoking pot. Philosophy. In Plato's theory forms, there are two separate worlds. The real world, where we exist, and the world of ideas, where only what is timeless, absolute, and unchangeable exists. Let me use an example. Let's say I tell you to think of a dog. Now, you must have thought of the dog you own or your favorite type of dog. But someone thought of this and others of this. And we are all right. They are all essentially a dog, obviously. Even if we all thought of something different. For Plato, there is a non-physical plane where the perfect thing exists. The idea that will transcend and pass from time to time. So, the perfect dog exists and it doesn't at the same time. Once again, is evil real or not? And this can be answered by a dialogue written by one of my favorite authors, Terry Pratchett, in his novel The Hawkfather, which belongs to the Discworld universe. The context is a bit random, but the important thing is the content between the main character Susan and her adoptive grandfather, Death himself. Yes, Death. And let me just say, he is awesome. Alright, said Susan. I'm not stupid. You're saying humans need fantasies to make life bearable. Really? As if it was some kind of big deal? No. Humans need fantasy to be human. To be the place where the falling angel meets the rising ape. Tooth fairies, hawkfathers, little, yes. As practice, you have to start out learning to believe the little lies. So we can believe the big ones? Yes, justice, mercy, duty, that sort of thing. They are not the same at all. Oh, you think so? Then take the universe and grind it down to the finest powder and sieve it through the finest sieve, and then show me one atom of justice, one molecule of mercy, and yet you act as if there is some ideal order in the world, as if there is some rightness in the universe by which it may be judged. People have got to believe that, or what's the point? My point exactly. So, is evil real? Well, at least for our limited human existence, we must kind of think evil is real. Because that is what makes us who we are. So, what makes the idea of evil so horrible is that it is sort of necessary for the whole human experience. This creature is inevitable because it gives meaning to what happens in the world. It is the ultimate existentialistic nightmare. And now what? What happens with it? Speaking only in Berserk terms, I think it is canon, and I do think it will return in the endgame. The question is in the how, because you cannot treat this thing as just another villain for gods to kill. The idea of evil is a concept, something that surpasses any human being. How do you stop something like that? Well, I do have a theory, but it is sort of out there. And yes, our boy, Guts, has something to do with it. For instance, I think the idea of evil doesn't apply to Guts as much as to other characters, because Guts never got the chance to rationalize the things that happened to him. He was hurt, beaten, bruised, battered, but he doesn't ascribe that to anything besides Griffith during the Black Swordsman arc. Because Guts doesn't think that the chaos around him needs to be explained or justified. He has that little bit more wiggle room with his fate, and thus he is capable of struggling. Well, this is just an idea. See what I did there? But I think the way Guts gonna win is by two main factors. One, controlling the Berserk armor and using it to its fullest potential. Defeating the Beast of Darkness, which represents God's inner demons, and transforming it into the white Berserk armor. Yeah, that's my idea, sort of. And number two, if humans can believe and think of something pure evil, they must also be capable of believing in something that it is pure good. The idea of good. I believe Guts, our Ubermensch, and his party are now headed towards becoming the manifestation of what the collective desire of humanity really is: to be better, fearless, stronger, and more resilient, with the capacity to easily overcome their limitations, self-sufficient, without the need for gods, or empowered to struggle to become the masters of their own destiny. With the recent chapters, it's obvious to see that the Skull Knight / King Isaac had the opportunity to become this manifestation, but instead he failed. He gave up his humanity by letting himself to be consumed by the Berserker armor. But I think if Guts is capable of finding the other extreme, this other concept, the idea of good, I think it will be the time to do things right, to struggle one more time and show the triumphant spirit of humanity. But I guess we'll find out till early, 2040 or something, when Berserk approaches its conclusion. Nah, how am I kidding? That's probably way too optimistic. 2080 seems like a better guess. Hey, maybe Miura making us wait so long is the true idea of evil. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe and ring the bell if you want to keep tagging along with me in the eerie but also magical realm of human imagination. See you all, and keep exploring.